What's up, guys? I'm ArieRashelle, and this is the end times. My whole life, I've heard about the Antichrist and how he's coming to bring tribulation upon the earth. I even thought at one point that Hitler was a past Antichrist. Now, if you've seen our other videos, you know that we don't believe that there's any such thing as the Antichrist, but instead we believe that the evil one to come, who will only stay a short while, is called the man of lawlessness. For more on that, check out our videos, The Antichrist and The Man of Lawlessness, which are both under our The End Times category. Now, even though I don't believe that Hitler is a past Antichrist, I do believe that there are past or shadows of the Man of Lawlessness. Here's what I'm talking about. Revelation chapter 17, verse 9 through 10 says, "This calls for a mind with wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman is seated. There are also 7 kings, 5 of whom have fallen. One is, the other has not yet come. And when he does come, he must remain only a little while." The woman in this verse is Mystery Babylon, and she's seated on the beast out of the bottomless pit, which is Abaddon, because he ushers her in as the new kingdom that is the center of everything on earth. Now, with that said, I believe that the 7th king is the man of lawlessness still to come, and that the other 6 are shadows or past men of lawlessness. So that now begs the question, who are these 7 kings of Revelation chapter 17? When I first started researching this, I realized that there was a pattern to these men of lawlessness. Here's what I'm talking about. Paul describes the man of lawlessness as one who declares himself to be God. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3 through 4. "Let no one deceive you in any way, for that day will not come unless the rebellion comes first, and the man of lawlessness is revealed, the son of destruction, who opposes and exalts himself against every so-called God or object of worship, so that he takes his seat in the temple of God, proclaiming himself to be God. And according to Daniel, he will also speak against the God of gods, our God, God Most High, Yahweh." Daniel chapter 7, verse 24 through 25. "As for the 10 horns, out of this kingdom 10 kings shall arise, and another shall arise after them. He shall be different from the former ones, and shall put down 3 kings. He shall speak words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to change the times and the law. And they shall be given into his hand for a time, times, and half a time." The man of lawlessness is arrogant to the point where he challenges God himself. He also rises to power after the people of God are led astray into sin, usually idolatry. Revelation chapter 2 and 3 are compiled of 7 letters written to the angels of the 7 churches in Asia. While we believe that these churches were actual literal churches in John's time, we also believe that these churches represent the 7 eras, if you will, of the church. Now, with that said, the 2 last letters describe 2 distinctly different churches. Revelation chapter 3, verse 10 says, "Because you have kept my word about patient endurance, I will keep you from the hour of trial that is coming on the whole world, to try those who dwell on the earth." Now, look at the very last letter, Revelation chapter 3, verse 15 through 17. "I know your works, you are neither cold nor hot. Would that you were either cold or hot. So, because you are lukewarm and neither hot nor cold, I will spit you out of my mouth. For you say, 'I am rich, I have prospered, and I need nothing,' not realizing that you are wretched, pitiable, poor, blind, and naked." The faithful generation is told that they will escape the hour of trial to come, but the unfaithful, lukewarm generation, he will spit out of his mouth. Now, we see this same pattern in 3 other men of the Bible. Now, let's start with the very first one. Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Exodus chapter 5, verse 1 through 2 says, "Afterward, Moses and Aaron went and said to Pharaoh, 'Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, let my people go, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness.' But Pharaoh said, 'Who is the Lord that I should obey his voice and let Israel go? I do not know the Lord, and moreover, I will not let Israel go.'" Pharaoh is the first man of lawlessness, and Egypt is the first foreshadowing of Mystery Babylon to come. Each of the men of lawlessness question who God is as they compare him to their own power because of their arrogance. They also each are the most powerful men of the most powerful kingdom of their time. Now, many will say that the people of Israel didn't rebel against God while in Egypt. They were unjustly enslaved. But check this out. Exodus chapter 32, verse 1 through 3. When the people saw that Moses delayed to come down from the mountain, the people gathered themselves together to Aaron and said to him, Up, make us gods who shall go before us. As for this Moses, the man who brought us up out of the land of Egypt, we do not know what has become of him. So Aaron said to them, Take off the rings of gold that are in the ears of your wives, your sons, and your daughters, and bring them to me. So all the people took off the rings of gold that were in their ears and brought them to Aaron. Because Moses took longer than they expected him to, they made a god for themselves. Even though they just witnessed the power of God right before their eyes, they still needed a god of gold that they could see, like they had in Egypt. If they weren't already living in idolatry, they would not have needed a god that they could see, touch, feel, and worship before. They didn't need that. They didn't need to make a god with their own hands. Now, with that said, let's look at the next man of lawlessness. 2 Kings chapter 18, verse 33 through 35. Has any of the gods of the other nations ever delivered his land out of the hand of the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the gods of Sepharvaim, Hena, and Iva? Have they delivered Samaria out of my hand? Who among all the gods of the lands have delivered their lands out of my hand? That the Lord should deliver Jerusalem out of my hand. Those names are really hard. Sennacherib, king of Assyria, was the most powerful man of his time, with the most powerful nation of that time. Sennacherib was allowed to overcome the people of Israel just like Pharaoh was because of the sins of the people of God. 2 Kings chapter 18, verse 11 through 12. The king of Assyria carried the Israelites away to Assyria and put them in Halah and on the harbor, the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes, because they did not obey the voice of the Lord their God, but transgressed his covenant, even all that Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded. They neither listened nor obeyed. Now, the third man of lawlessness is the last one named in the Bible. And he is found in Daniel chapter 3, verse 14 through 15. Nebuchadnezzar answered and said to them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the golden image that I have set up? Now if you are ready, when you hear the sound of the horn, pipe, lyre, trigon, harp, bagpipe, and every kind of music, to fall down and worship the image that I have made, well and good. But if you do not worship, you shall immediately be cast into a burning fiery furnace. And who is the God who will deliver you out of my hands? Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, is the third shadow of the man of lawlessness. Not only did Nebuchadnezzar enslave the people of Israel and straight up challenge God, he even set up a golden image for the people to worship, and if they didn't, they'd be thrown into the fiery furnace. Now, that sounds like a little bit of foreshadowing of certain events to come, but we won't get into those events. Israel was given into the hands of Nebuchadnezzar because of the sins of Jehoiakim. Check this out, 2 Chronicles 36, 5 through 8. Jehoiakim was 25 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 11 years in Jerusalem. He did what was evil in the sight of the Lord his God. Against him came up Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and bound him in chains and took him to Babylon. Nebuchadnezzar also carried part of the vessels of the house of the Lord to Babylon and put them in his palace in Babylon. Now the rest of the acts of Jehoiakim and the abominations that he did and what was found against him, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Israel and Judah, and Jehoiachin his son reigned in his place. And we'll talk about the last 4 men of lawlessness in part 2. But just to sum everything up in this video for you guys, the 7 kings of Revelation chapter 17 are the 7 men of lawlessness. The first is Pharaoh of Egypt. The second is Sennacherib of Assyria. And the third is Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon. And they each have the same thing in common. They each arrogantly challenge God himself. And they each say the famous phrase of, "Who is the God that can deliver you out of my hand?" I hope this cleared up some of the questions you guys may have had about the men of lawlessness and the 7 kings of Revelation chapter 17. And if you guys enjoyed this video, feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And until next time, God bless.